Welcome to the Efed podcast, the podcast exploring our fantasy wrestling hobby, where the wrestling is written, but the characters are real. I'm your host, Mikey Unlikely, and I'd like to thank you for joining us here today on the Atomic Dropcast Network. We're back again for Episode 7. It's the week before Christmas, and I hope everyone is doing good and has all of their shopping done. The snow is just starting to fly here in my neck of the woods, so I hope everyone out there is staying warm and safe. And a special thank you to everyone out there listening. We appreciate all of the support you guys have been giving us. If you guys are digging the show, go ahead and subscribe on whatever platform you're using. Give us a review, we would greatly appreciate it. If you want to interact with the show, you can find us on Twitter at the Efed Podcast. We've got a Discord server you can be a part of. We're open to hearing from you. We want to hear your suggestions, your constructive criticisms, and your baseless accusations. This week on the show, we've got the Efed Question of the Week brought to you by the EWC. We're getting Mile High on the show today with an interview with the Fedhead of Mile High Wrestling. So stay tuned for that. It's a great interview, and of course, as always, we have the Feds list. Before we get to all of that, however, on Twitter the last 2 weeks, we've been promoting a free giveaway for followers of the Efed Podcast. Today, we would like to announce the winner of the drawing was at Hero Highspot on Twitter. So thank you to everyone for playing. Keep your eyes peeled to our Twitter at the Efed Podcast for more contests and giveaways in the near future. Alright guys, let's get into the show, but before we do, here's a word from our sponsor.
Defiance, an Angle Fed boasting 8 years of continuous fantasy wrestling. Defiance offers opportunities for original characters, micros, a standalone website utilizing Backstage 3 script, and a forum hosted on the long-running FWrestling.com, as well as a roster full of some of the most experienced writers in the game. Come see for yourself at DefianceWrestling.com. That's DefianceWrestling.com.
It's time for the Feds list. High Octane Wrestling is once again opening up their applications for a short period of time. HOW is a bi-weekly roleplay fed that uses a scoring system that emphasizes quality over quantity without any word limits. With 1 RP per weekly show and 2 RPs for pay-per-views and title matches, HOW offers a competitive RP environment with an emphasis on long-term storytelling. Check them out at howwrestling.com, that's HOWrestling.com, and see if they are the right fit for you. Splat Sports is looking for 4 promotions to compete in the 2020 Team Challenge Series. 4 promotions, 4 wrestlers per promotion will compete in the singles and tags to acquire points over the course of 7 weeks. The winning team will get bragging rights as the Team Challenge Series champion. For more information, contact at Splatpoint on Twitter. Sinister Wrestling is a semi-monthly angled hardcore fed that runs similarly to promotions like GCW, Beyond Wrestling, and PWG all wrapped into one. We're looking for tag teams at the moment, but all are welcome to join the fun at Sinister. Punk rock, cold beer, and professional wrestling, what more could you want? Check them out at sinisterwrestling.freeforums.net. Check out Modern Pro Wrestling. They're a Twitter-based angle fed with no drama, no role plays, and no big commitments. They're keeping it simple and they're keeping it fun. Check them out. They're a United Kingdom-based promotion at Modern Graps on Twitter. That's at Modern Graps on Twitter. 4CW has been around since 2004. It's currently a monthly e-fed that beautifully mixes angle and role-playing feuds and storylines. History is the biggest ally as they have a plethora of unique homegrown matches, titles, pay-per-views, and so much more. Come join our wrestling family and test your skills in the legendary and prestigious 4CW. We always have a good time, review each other's matches and segments, help each other out, and politics do not exist. A lot of the current talent is seasoned through the years of e-fedding, and they're here to just tell their stories. Check them out at 4wforums.com. In an effort to bring e-feds to the public eye, a book series is being made. The Enigma Network is a fight-based broadcasting company that showcases the efforts of multiple promotions of various styles. Original Choice Wrestling contains over 30 talents that have their own stories that grow over time. Honor Pro is a hybrid that combines the rawness of prison warfare with the chaos of mixed martial arts. As a network, Enigma is not only able to house these promotions and bring them to the public eye, but also create cross-promotional opportunities that otherwise would be considered impossible. For more information, search TL Brown OCW on Amazon. Also, the creator TL Brown can be reached on most social media at TL_Enigma. Join them, be different, it's okay. Idaho Wrestling is a hybrid role-play angle fed that's looking for characters of all genders, races, shapes, and sizes to build a territorial fed into what could ultimately be a nationally recognized company. A Talking Cat provides the play-by-play, so if you're looking for a super serious organization, they might not be for you. However, one little quirk is that the talent are also made owners of the company, so the future direction of the Fed will be based on certain business decisions made by the handlers themselves. Take a look around, read the information page, and sign the hell up, or don't. Check them out at idahowrestling.jcinc.net.
So, at last we meet for the first time for the last time.
And we're back with the Efed question of the week, brought to you by the EWC. The Extreme Wrestling Corporation is the game's longest-running role-play Efed, having been established in 1997. With over 100 active role players across 4 brands, the EWC offers opt-in booking on all of its bi-weekly shows, home to Stranglemania and the 4-day wrestling event known as WrestleFest going on right now. The EWC is built on its welcoming community with zero bias and no drama. All styles are welcome. Check out the EWC today at EWC4life.com. Alright, this week the eFed question of the week. When you're looking for a new Fed, what's the first thing you look for? At HOF Mike Best. I like to introduce myself to the Fedhead and pitch a couple ideas. How they react to them tells me everything I need to know. Very wise. At Laurel's Girl. Writers who think outside of the box. Lots of character development and gimmicks that probably wouldn't work in standard Feds. This person's looking for something different. At Warren Fitz, 45. Longevity was certainly a factor when I did this, with both of mine being around 10 years or more at the point. I also wanted to join a welcoming locker room. At IW Puddings. That it's based on a place that is both beautiful and not fucking Wyoming. Ooh, that's interesting. Also, something different. At Kendrick Cross. An active OOC community, longevity, and creativity. At Woke Danae. Rules. Just rules. If a Fed is promoting and doesn't have the one thing every Fed should have before opening, letting handlers know what to expect, how do you know what they're all about? That's a great point. You need to know the rules. First things first. General information and rules. At Project Holland 3. Rules, including whether a Fed is angle or RP, how it will be judged. It's hard to play in a Fed if I don't know what's expected of me. At Explode Creations. Hot female writers. Preferably real ones. At Whammy Bar. Fair RP judging, reasonable RP limits, and no politics. Editorial. Man seeks reliable federation. When seeking a wrestling home, Max Kale, at Paragon Kale, looks for active staff, creative writers, and a competitive community. Boss makes $1, I make a dime. That's why I answered this question during my pooping time. Quote, the LSD MWK. Great answer. Love that Twitter. Guys, follow at Paragon Kale on Twitter. It's fantastic. At FVCK U Donahue on Twitter. I definitely look at the last shows. The ability to write a match is definitely not innate. I'm not going to settle in a place where the writing is nonsensical. Another thing I look for is judging rubric and what the current champions are getting up to in their role plays and segments. It's a very good way to analyze a Fed. At Howie, a great community, As long as there is a great welcoming community, everything else falls into place. I've been in a few where the owners vanished, but the community has picked up the pieces and kept things going for ages. CWC and the NGW, for example. Also, if the owner is the champion, I skip. Skip! I'm out of there. Thanks, guys, for answering this week's question of the week, brought to you by Extreme Wrestling Corporation. Check them out at ewc4life.com. All right, guys, welcome back to the Efed podcast here on the Atomic Dropcast Network. Today, we're joined on the interview segment with Rob. Rob is the Fedhead for Mile High Wrestling. Rob, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good myself. I'm glad you joined us today. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, for sure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You guys have been with us since day one on the Twitter machine. Appreciate the follows. Appreciate all the retweets. You guys have been promoting us even on your own shows. So I was happy to get you on here. I'm happy to get you on here early. And really appreciate all the love you guys have been showing us.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Awesome, man. Hey, talk to us about how you got into wrestling.
Just wrestling in general, or Efed wrestling?
Just wrestling in general.
Well, when I was younger, my papa, my dad's dad, he used to love wrestling. Every time we went and visited my grandparents, he was always watching it. So I kind of, got hooked on it then. But my parents didn't have cable at the time, so I really couldn't watch it weekly at that time. But I remember, we would go to the video rental stores, before Redbox and all that.
Oh yeah.
And we would. And they used to have the 5 there. You get 5 VHSs for 5 days for $5, and a lot of the wrestling pay-per-views.
What?
Probably older ones.
I didn't get that kind of deal.
No. Yeah. So I would get all the pay-per-views and watch them, and I was just falling in love with it. So of course, as soon as my dad was getting paid enough to get cable or something, I don't know. Back then I was a kid, but when we got cable, I'm watching Raw every Monday night. That was mine. I picked that up for WCW. Man, I just been hooked on it since then, and it's still to this day just really today is the only form of entertainment that I really pay much attention about.
Yeah, it's great now that there's so many options, and you can just pick up the remote and just turn on wrestling regardless of when.
Right. It don't have to be the remote. You could just watch it off your phone, streaming.
It's crazy.
It's all over.
That's awesome. So who are some of your favorite wrestlers?
Right off the bat, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
It's got to be.
Was definitely my 100% favorite. I liked Brock Lesnar in his early days. Randy Orton in the mid 2000s and up was my guy. Right now, I'm a huge fan of Drew McIntyre.
There you go. I haven't been watching Drew, but I saw him when he was on the Independents and stuff, and he was on fire.
He's definitely doing a lot better than he was when he first came in. That first run he did with WWE.
Oh yeah, when he was 19 or something then.
Right. He looks a whole lot different.
Yeah. So how did you find e-wrestling then?
Well, I don't know if you remember, but back in the day they had WWF chat on the website.
On WWF.com?
Yeah.
No, I don't remember that one.
I want to say there was 5 different chat rooms you could join in. And I was on there. I met a guy who I still keep in touch with to this day named Glenn Greeny. And he hit me up. He asked me if I wanted to join his Efed HCW. Didn't know what the hell he was talking about, but I love wrestling, so I was like, yeah. I think I had a username that had something to do with being a Stone Cold fan. So he was telling me he needed someone to have a Stone Cold pick base, or he wanted someone with a Stone Cold pick base. If I could handle that. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. But you have to back then on the application, you had to post a sample role play to get into an Efed. And I posted one. Of course, I didn't even know what I was doing. So he said, nah, we're going to find somebody else. But I just remember, when I went to the website, because that was back when, all Efeds really had, full websites instead of just forums. And I was just so amazed by it. and I never gave up. I kept trying to come. I think I joined a little Efed called WWICW, and I had fought Matt Hardy twice. Once in a Hell in a Cell. I mean, obviously wasn't the real Matt Hardy, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I don't think that guy knew what he was doing either. Now that I look back on it, because that Efed didn't make no sense. But eventually, I ended up getting better, I guess, at doing the role play thing, and got involved with HCW, and the rest was history from there.
That's awesome. So obviously you were a handler before you were a Fedhead, because that's how you get into the hobby. So who were some of the characters you handled after Stone Cold Steve Austin?
The only character for the most part was the one that most people who know me know of is Snakebite. I think I actually made I used my real last name, but I had Robert McCutcheon. I used just a generic guy. I actually told the Fedhead that I wanted to like do it like as if I was really joining the company, and he could decide my gimmick and decide where I go each week or whatever. But I don't think that really took off. So it's mostly just been Snakebite.
So tell us about Snakebite.
Snakebite has evolved over the years. Cause like the last run probably was my most popular run, where I used the Jared Leto Joker as my pick base, and
Okay.
I just was creepy and just throwed and just wilding out. But before that, I mean, it's kind of embarrassing a little bit, you know. But I mean, I was a kid back then. But like my pick base changed so many different times, like drastically. Like it doesn't even make sense. Like I remember at one time I had Stone Cold as my pick base. Then I had the American Badass Undertaker as my pick base. So you know his hair just grew long. Then I was Brock Lesnar for a while, Randy Orton.
There you go.
Then of course Jared Leto Joker.
It is quite an evolution.
It is all over the place.
That's cool though. So what are all the feds you were in as this character?
HCW most of the time. That was my one
Okay.
Efed. Matter of fact, that was the Efed that brought me back 2 years ago, because I was gone for a while. You know, like we talked about before, I have 4 kids, so as I'm having kids, I just really didn't have as much time with it. But I joined an Efed called DWA, OCW. I want to say one of them was called IWF. That's about it.
Okay. So talk to us about the formation of Mile High and how you decided that, hey, I'm going to be a Fedhead.
Well, I had previously actually got to run HCW on 2 separate occasions for a little while. And that was way back when I was like 16, 15. So all these years later, like I said, they said they were bringing HCW back about 2 years ago. And I joined, and not to sound controversial, but I mean, most people that know me already know the story anyways. The Fedhead put the world title on himself.
Oh.
And you already know the kind of problems that come out of that.
Yes, I do.
My character, Snakebite, main evented 2 pay-per-views against him.
Lost them both.
Lost them both.
Yeah.
The first one, honestly, like looking at it judge-wise, he might have had me, whatever. But I mean, I still understood, like, a lot of people were kind of frustrated about it regardless, because it's the Fedhead. The second one, I really felt like I won that one. But now that it's passed, you know, who really cares? But the fact of the matter was, I just wasn't enjoying being in the Efed because, I mean, the dude that runs it is the champion.
Rule number 1, the Fedhead is never champion.
Exactly. So there was a lot of arguments there. They was trying to get me to stay. They were saying I was being petty for wanting to leave. I wasn't even trying to, like, bring any drama. I told them I was just gonna leave, but you know they kept, no man, stay. You're being petty. Da 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 da. So, well, it was 2 people. Glenn Greeny was the one that was really trying to keep me to stay, but the guy who was actually running it at the time, who was the champion, was like, man, he can go. Let him go or whatever. And he made a comment and said, if you don't like the way I run my Efed, go make your own. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go do that. So MHW, I started messing around with logos and stuff like that, created some forums, started reaching out to people, seeing who wanted to join. Honestly, I really had it in my head it probably wasn't even going to take off, because I didn't know that many people. I've been gone from the Efed world for like 10, 15 years, and it's like way different than it was way back then, you know, with Twitter and all
Right.
this stuff.
For sure.
But I took a chance, and man, I'm loving it. It's going real good.
That's awesome. Great story. All it takes is a challenge for you to say, okay, I'll do that.
Right.
So 3 members of your roster have their own podcast. Well, I say roster. Yourself counts as one. You do Mile High Uncut for Mile High Wrestling. And you have 2 other people. Pretty Ricky Stanton has the Heartbreak Hotel podcast, and Tyke Index has Coke Mountain. Talk to us about all 3 podcasts and what make them different.
And I mean, just to start off, that's what I always loved about it. They are all 3 so different, and which helps MHW, you know, feel even bigger. But like,
hey, before you even get started, let me just say I've listened to all of them and I enjoy each one.
I appreciate that, and I know Chris and Ricky gonna be excited to hear that. But as far as like the difference between them, like Mile High and Cut, right now I'm more just every once in a while. I was doing it every week, but I do it every once in a while, and like I guess it makes it cool because you get to hear the Fedhead's thoughts on everything going on. Although that also can be an issue sometimes, because I can say something like, you know, I prefer this role play over the other, like on the podcast, and it kind of like
Irks people.
I guess it can cause a doubt. Yeah, and so that's kind of why I backed off of it, because I felt like, you know, it was kind of causing more problems than it should have. But with the Heartbreak Hotel, Ricky is a good guy in real life, no doubt about it. His character is an asshole, but I feel like he blends those in on his show.
It's,
you know, you get the good guy.
It's almost half in character, half out of character.
Exactly. So, but it's cool because you get those assholish comments from him sometimes, and you get his real opinion. He's not scared to say it. So that makes it good, because sometimes there are people that want to hear that, you know, and instead of just hearing one opinion, you get to hear the other opinion. So that's what I love about Heartbreak Hotel. And then, of course, Coke Mountain. Talk about good guys. Chris is the greatest guy. He's such a positive person. We always make jokes about the fact that he could put anyone over. If you listen to his podcast, he'll say every role player is the best role player in the world. Like, so it's just positive vibes, and everybody gets to feel good. But I mean, he's really smart with wrestling, so it's always interesting to hear his thoughts on current events and stuff.
Yeah, it's awesome. They're great podcasts, or even live. Some of them are live podcasts, or I guess they all are. But
yeah, they are.
So check them out on Mixlr. You got some links for us, or did you just put them up on Twitter, or what do you do?
We all post them on Twitter. I got all the links on the forums too for the episodes. I couldn't tell you the
Go ahead and plug the forum.
Oh, milehighwrestling.freeforums.net.
And on there's a podcast section, and you can check out all of them. They get posted shortly after they debut. All right, man. Give us a Mile High Wrestling pitch. Why should people come join Mile High Wrestling?
Well, we got if you're up for a challenge, got a lot of great writers there. A great group of people. They work together. Come up with some great stuff. Like I said, the competition's top notch. For the most part, everybody helps each other out too. Like if people get mad, you got a good group of people that'll talk to you and try to, because it's gonna happen naturally as humans. Yeah.
Coach you through it.
And right, coach them through it. And to me, it's mostly a positive environment. We've had some negative things like any Efed, but for the most part, it's real positive. A lot of people believe the judging is very fair, which is a good thing in the Efed world, because you're constantly always hearing about politics and stuff. I don't. I mean, I have like people that might be my like favorite role player or whatever, but I never ever choose a winner based off of anything like that, and neither do my other judges. I've picked 3 very fair people that I trust in to make good judgments. And that's the thing. We got 4 judges overall. for it to make sure, we are picking the best winner. Because, I mean, ultimately, it is your opinion at the end of the day when you judge, It's hard to pick a perfect winner. But I mean, it's a fun place to be. It's growing. And it's bi-weekly. So if you don't like the weekly thing to be like so cut for time to get your role plays up, we're bi-weekly. It's usually 1 RP limit. For big matches, we do 2 RP limit. And then I'm easy going if you need like to not be on the next show or whatever. I mean, obviously, it's your life to take that day off. There's not gonna be no problem like that. But I mean, it's a real fun environment. I think anybody would enjoy it if they are a positive, fun person to be around.
Awesome. And you got 3 podcasts to hear about yourself on.
Yeah. So obviously we're doing something good. I mean, if you got that many people talking about it.
And you guys are all over Twitter. All of your handlers are all over Twitter. It's awesome to see. It's great to see everybody usually positive and vibing and hyping up the shows. It's pretty cool.
Right.
All right.
That's definitely one thing that I've enjoyed since coming back to Efed is the Twitter, because it causes a lot of feuds too, and just storylines and all that cool stuff.
Great feuds come from Twitter.
Right.
Speaking of Twitter, we've got some Twitter questions for you. Are you ready for these?
I'm ready to go.
What were your favorite Mile High Wrestling rivalries so far? From @AceStar6.
This year alone, I mean, Solomon Kane has been in some interesting ones. He had one with Tyke Index. They wrote a lot of their segments, and like they end up having a hangman's match at the pay-per-view. That was kind of crazy. And some crazy. I don't even want to talk about it, but some crazy stuff happened with that. And then Pretty Ricky Stan. He's not actually an active MHW superstar. He's a network executive for the network that MHW is on, but he steps in the ring and stirs up some stuff, and he's had some great rivalries with Solomon Kane, as a matter of fact, and then Forge last year that got a lot of attention. And let's see, Scribes and Kenny Bratton last year. They've had some pretty interesting stuff, like I said, and Twitter helping. Some great stuff comes out of that, and we've had some great little rivalries / feuds in MHW.
That's awesome. Speaking of Tyke Index, @Tyke Index tweeted us, what would be your dream program if Snakebite had one more run?
I guess I would have to go with Scrabs, because I mean, even knowing this dude is an incredible writer and he does research on his opponent like no other. He'll dig some stuff up they might have forgot about. But even though I probably would get my ass whooped, I would have so much fun going against him, because I feel like the fact that he's been in MHW since day one, I've been the Fedhead, I know a lot about him. So I feel like I could have so much fun being Snakebite and talking shit to Scrabs and like trying to rip him a new one. Like I said, I'll probably lose as a suicide mission, but I would have so much fun trying.
That's awesome. Good answer. @EW Troll. He's got 5 questions for you. You ready for these?
Let's see.
What are your favorite and least favorite matches to write?
I kind of like writing battle royal matches. Those are kind of fun for some reason. Obviously, I mean, not too much. You don't want to burn yourself out on them, but it's always fun to write like hardcore style matches.
I'm a battle royal mark myself.
Really? I thought I was the only one.
No.
But I guess the best answer that probably wouldn't be expected maybe is my favorite type of matches to write are the ones, it don't even have to be like a special stipulation, just with the most story behind it. The
emotional matches.
Something emotional matches. Because, I mean, you're ready for it. You're feeling it. You know what's going on. You're emotional about it. So it's just a easy flowing match to write.
Rock versus Hogan's an amazing match, but if you watch it, it's not really a good match.
Yeah, that's true. The fans,
because it's emotional, yeah.
Right.
So what about your least favorite?
Non-emotional matches. No, I'm just like, like multi-person match. I mean, I said I like writing battle royals, but a lot of times multi-person matches are like difficult to write. At least with battle royals, you can eliminate people throughout, so you kind of have something to keep going with.
Yeah.
But sometimes they can get lost in the shuffle trying to keep up with, 6 people in a match, and there's no eliminations, and trying to make it work.
I agree with that because you spend too much time on this guy, and you completely forget about these two guys over in the corner.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard to do. So, number 2 from EW Troll, is there any talent outside of Mile High you'd like to see join?
There is. I mean, for the most part, most of my focus is with MHW, obviously, and I don't have all the time in the world to keep up with everything outside of it. But I mean, with Twitter, you see these other characters. Of course, a lot of the superstars in MHW are in other Efeds, so they mention these other characters. So there's a few that I keep hearing their names, I keep hearing good things about them, and I'd love to see them in MHW at some point. And if I haven't hit them up already and tried to get them in, I'm planning on eventually. Number 1 right now seems to be the most popular guy to me outside of MHW is Eric Holland. I know you had him on the podcast a few weeks ago.
Absolutely.
We actually had one of my guys in the Efed, Solomon Kane, challenge him to a match, but nothing really ever came out of it. But I would like to see him. And my favorite tag team out there, I think it's so creative. I can really see a tag team like that in the real wrestling world is Dot Chocolate. I think the people in this name is Silky Smooth and Cartier.
Yeah.
Like that tag team just like it attracts me. Like it's gold.
So if you're in need of talent, what kind of talent are you looking for specifically? You're looking for tags, women's, men's, cruisers, etc.
Well, right now for sure, and I know I've sent it in for you to advertise on the podcast, tag teams. Because our current tag champ, like when we first bought MHW back earlier this year, we had a nice tag team division. And then the current champs, the Shield Maidens, have just beat everybody. And one by one, those tag teams kind of faded out. So I think we're down to like 3 right now, and 2 of them are new tag teams. So we definitely need some tag teams and some tag teams that could bring a challenge, like maybe Dot Chocolate or something if they're interested. But yeah, definitely tag teams. But I'm open for anything. I don't want my roster to get too big because like I know like EWC has like over 100 people. All credit to them because I don't know how they do it.
They got different staff for every show, every brand. It's cool.
That's what I was assuming because I know like I'm around over 20 right now, and sometimes I stress out a little bit about booking the show with that many people. So, but I mean I'm always open to new people because people come and go. For the most part, we've had a pretty solid roster. We're not really losing too many people, but sometimes things happen. Like we did Solomon Kane recently. At least had to take a break because of like personal stuff. So like things like that happen. So I'm always looking to accept applications in general.
There you go. And what's the best part of running Efed?
Just doing it with like other people that love wrestling. I mean, I love wrestling with a passion, like I mentioned earlier, and all these people do the same. And it's cool, you get to step out of reality for a minute because all of us have stresses in life. So you get to step out of that reality and do this, fantasy world. Pretend like I'm a millionaire that runs a wrestling company, and it's a cool feeling.
Absolutely. And what's the worst part of running Efed?
When you do have that drama.
Yeah, right.
You're going to have people that get mad when they lose, and they handle it in different ways. sometimes when you're writing the show and you pick the winner, who's gonna win. Sometimes you're like, this person's gonna be so mad. Yeah, I've done got to the point when I'm in those predicaments. I just turn off all my notifications before I even post the show.
Yep.
And then I'll turn them back on the next morning because I'm not finna go to sleep on this drama.
By the time they wake up and say, my bad.
Right, and that's what they do it normally.
Yep. Awesome. So number 5, go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead.
Number 5 from the EW Troll, is your mom hot?
I seen that question.
You've got to get it out.
I mean, I can't really comment on that. It's my mom.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's my mom. I can't really comment on that. It has to be somebody else. Maybe I'll have to show them a picture or something,
Well,
let them give their opinion.
Well, at Rick Dick DPW is going to piggyback and say, is she single?
She is not single.
Okay.
She is not. She is a married woman.
Sorry, boys. Out of luck on that one. So, seriously, from Rick Dick, this is ridiculous. Of course it is. Seriously, if you had one dream match you could put together from any Efed characters, what would be the match, and who would be the participants? Bonus points for creativity.
I'm getting points for this one.
He's gonna give you a rating on 1 to 10, so be ready for that.
All right. Well, I mean, for the most part, I'm gonna have to do at least one person from MHW, obviously, and somebody outside of the Efed would make the most sense. I'll do the first answer I got right off the top of my head is somebody a lot of people probably don't even know because he hasn't been in the Efed world in a little while. But it was a guy named Taurus back in the day. Amazing role player. No one could beat him. I think he lost a few matches, but it was very rare. To go up against my top guy, Scrabs, I think that would just be the ultimate match, like who would win. Well, Taurus in his prime. I don't know how the dude writes now. I haven't seen him in a while.
Right.
But currently, Scrabs versus Eric Holland. Like I said, everyone's, talking about Eric Holland's name. He's a big deal. Currently, a lot of people are frustrated that they can't take the belt off of Scrabs. Maybe Eric Holland's that guy. So maybe he needs to come in the MHW and see if he's the one that can knock Scrabs off the mountain. And then as far as tag teams, I kind of hinted at it earlier, but Dot Chocolate versus Shield Maidens. I like to see that happen.
Come on, Eric Holland, get over there.
he recently followed the MHW Twitter, so it might make my conversation with him a little easier or whatever.
Baby steps.
When I ask him.
All right, last question we got from That's Azzy Vebbins.
Ooh, okay.
What are 3 matches every Mile High Wrestling fan should view?
Well, probably there's been so many big ones. That's one thing I like about running MHW. I feel like we have some really big matches. But this is a tough one. And that's somebody in my Efed and ask these questions.
Shout out to her, by the way. That character. She follows everything of ours and reposts it, and it's all in character. It's all good stuff. Great follow on Twitter.
Yeah, she's very supportive of people. Well, Azarine Vebbins, they could view the Azarine Vebbins versus Scrabs match, the first one they had in MHW, because it was a shocking ending because Azarine Vebbins won that match. And like I said, Scrabs is hard to beat, so when that happened, they had people talking within the Efed.
Jaws hit the floor.
Right, that's what it was. People didn't know. I know when I wrote it, the ending, my heart was pumped. I didn't know how to write it. It was like, it wasn't even for the title. It was like a regular show, and it was the show before the pay-per-view where Scrabs was going to defend the belt, so that made it even more hard. Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. But
I mean, the facts was she out role played him, and I had to make that call. So that one, I know a lot of people talk about the Jansen Murr versus Zombie for the Throwdown title, Hair versus title match in Mile High Spectacular 2. And then both Scrabs versus Tyke Index matches. So those are both phenomenal writers. And then recently, I mean, just in the last show, another shocker that happened. A newcomer in their debut match beat in my opinion, one of the 2 top writers in the Efed, Reaper, in her debut match. That was crazy.
Wow. For first match.
First match, I don't even know who the handler is. They just joined the Efed and they came in. The way they was on Twitter, it just made sense to put him in the ring with Reaper because he's like a feminist or something like that. So I did it, but I was thinking like, it was going to be a tough match for her, but even if she lost, it wouldn't kill her character the way her storyline was going. But the girl came in and won, and I was like, Lord have mercy.
Awesome, man. Anything else you want to plug or put over? Anybody else you want to say hey to?
I mean, Efed podcast. Let's plug that. I'm real happy that you came out and did this, and I don't know you like personally, but I feel like you're like the perfect person for it. Like you got the voice for it, you got the energy for it, and it's just cool that you can make something to bring all the Efeds together. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that, man. It's a cool project. I'm getting to know everybody in the Efed world all at once, and it's been a blast. I'm enjoying doing it.
I'm enjoying listening. I enjoy doing this interview too. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
For sure.
Go ahead and give us the links to the Fed and tell us what to check out.
Like I said, myhighwrestling.freeforums.net. I mean, y'all can snoop around and check it out and see if you're interested in joining. I know we've been getting a lot more applications again recently. I'm guessing maybe from the Efed podcast must be that you've been plugging us because we've been getting more applications than usual.
See, people join that Feds list.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the Efed podcast is a great thing for the Efed community for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming on, Rob. Appreciate your time. Guys, check out Mile High Wrestling. Sounds like a great Fed. I'm excited just hearing about it. This interview got me hyped for you.
Appreciate that.
And that's going to wrap us up for another edition of the Efed podcast here on the Atomic Dropcast Network. I'd like to thank our sponsors, the Atomic Dropcast, my other podcast. We're about to drop on YouTube 1 episode a week for the next 40 weeks. The Atomic Dropcast. Look it up on YouTube or check out atomicdropcast.com for more information. I'd like to thank EWC, Extreme Wrestling Corporation, at EWC4Life.com. They've been helping us out as well with the question of the week. I want to thank our guest Rob from Mile High Wrestling for coming on, and thank all of you for listening to another episode of the Efed podcast, where the wrestling is written, but the characters are real.